All about them, baby. What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously here once again. I am here to do my Stanley Cup Playoff 2017 first round predictions. Now, of course, the regular season just ended tonight, so the teams are set and the quest for the cup begins. Of course, the playoffs start on Wednesday night. So definitely watch out. I'll definitely be watching for sure. Now, before I get into these picks, I do want to get two things out of the blue right now, so then we can get into the picks. I want to thank everybody who did watch my 4 wrestling videos that were up this coming week going into WrestleMania week. I want to thank all you guys for watching those videos. Over 130 plus views on all 4 of them combined. Cannot say thank you enough, guys. You guys are the best. 13 likes. You guys smash that like button on all 4 of those videos. So again, thank you guys so very much, and I hope you guys continue that into these videos that are coming out. Of course, second and third thing I'm gonna say. Of course, this Wednesday I will be doing my NBA playoff first round predictions. So definitely look out for that if you're an NBA fan like myself. And of course, April 24th I will be doing my payback predictions. Of course, to continue the streak of winning records on WWE pay-per-views. So those things inside, of course, Wednesday, April 13th, NBA predictions, first round predictions, and of course, April 24th, payback predictions. So keep those on your calendar. But now let's get right into these picks. Of course, with the shirt, if you saw the shirt, I am a loyal San Jose Sharks fan. It's my one team. There's no 2 teams when it comes to hockey with me. There's only one, and it's my San Jose Sharks. Of course, again, I'm going to be biased when it comes to who we're playing in the first round. So again, just like with the Patriots in the NFL, I'm going to be very biased, and there you go. So once again, I am a loyal San Jose Sharks fan for at least 20 years, 20 plus years. So, of course, just getting that out of there. So it's all about the Sharks in the set. It's Sharks territory. It's Sharks playoff territory. So let's get started. I'm going to start off in the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference first. Of course, I'm going to start off with the top, which is the Montreal Canadiens versus the New York Rangers. Now, of course, Montreal Canadiens are one of 4 Canadian teams that are in this playoffs this year. Of course, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, and Edmonton. Montreal's a very good team. I think they were second in points this season. I mean, when you have players like Andrew Shaw, Arturi Lehtonen, Shea Weber, Max Pacioretty, and you got great, fantastic goalie in Carey Price. You cannot go wrong with that. And of course, this may be again, 1 in 4 chance one of these Canadian teams are going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since Edmonton did in 06. So this is maybe one of the 4 teams that could get there. Then you have the New York Rangers, of course, from the Metropolitan Division. Of course, Rangers looking for their first Stanley Cup since '94, the Mark Messier years. But when you have talents like Rick Nash, Matt Zuccarello, Chris Kreider, Devin Stefan, and of course the King Henry Lundqvist, you can't go wrong with it. It's a very talented goalie with a lot of great players. And this one's a very interesting matchup. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to take the Montreal Canadiens to win because, I mean, there has to be a Canadian team, and there has to be one of these Canadian teams to get in to the next round. So I'm going to take the Montreal Canadiens to beat the New York Rangers in this first round matchup. Now the next matchup. The Boston Bruins facing the Ottawa Senators for, of course, first time ever. Boston, of course, getting this spot because of Toronto's loss tonight against Columbus. This could have been Toronto's spot, but they lost 3-2 to Columbus tonight. So it's Boston now. Boston could have been playing Washington, but things changed. They were idle this week, but Boston's always been a good team, hockey-wise. If you know Boston sports, it's always good. Celtics are great, Patriots are great, Red Sox are great, and the Boston Bruins are great. Another great Boston team. Of course, when you have Brad Marchand, David Krejci, Patrice Bergeron, Zdeno Chara, and then you have Tuukka Rask's goaltending, I mean, you cannot go wrong with that. Then you have the Ottawa Senators, one of the second Canadian team that's in these playoffs this year. Ottawa's a very good team. I mean, They're trying to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They're trying to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they lost, of course, to the Anaheim Ducks. But, I mean, this Ottawa team is very good. I mean, you got Bobby Ryan, you got Erik Karlsson, of course, one of 3 players that definitely deserve to be winning the Norris Trophy for Best Defenseman. You got Clark MacArthur, you got Matt Hoffman, Kyle Turris, and, of course, their goaltender, the Hamburger himself, Craig Anderson. This one's a very interesting matchup. I mean, if it was Toronto, I would have said Ottawa's going to win this, but with Boston being in this spot, because they didn't have to play a game today, and they just got in just thanks to Toronto's loss, I'm going to take the Boston Bruins to beat the Ottawa Senators to move on to play Montreal. So I'm taking Boston to beat Ottawa. Now the next matchup, of course, it's the Washington Capitals versus the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm thinking baseball there. Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, the Washington Capitals, of course, are the President's Trophy winner, most points in the regular season, home ice advantage. But the thing is with the Capitals, they haven't got past the second round. They've gotten past this round, but when it comes to the second round, they choke. And usually they choke a lot. I mean, it's just so surprising with the Capitals because they have players like Alexander Ovechkin. They got TJ Oshie. They got Nicholas Backstrom. They got Kevin Shattenkirk there. That trade they got out of St. Louis, which is a great deal for them. And then you have Braden Holtby. Definitely going to be up there for Vezina for best goaltender. The thing is with Washington, they're so damn good, but they just, they choke. Like, they're such a good team, and I'm thinking to myself, and of course, I think they are a front runners to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, but again, when it comes to the NHL playoffs, anything can happen. Coming from me, Washington has to win this year. They don't win again this year, Alexander Ovechkin, you better start thinking of finding somewhere that you can actually win other than win playoff games. Knowing Ovechkin, he wants to win Stanley Cups. And knowing him, he loves to win, but he also wants to win the cup. I mean, but every year with Washington, you have the most points almost every year, most points in the regular season. Then you choke in the second round or first round. Ovechkin's got to be seeing that in his head. You know what? I may need to, find other chances to winning it, just not in Washington. And of course, Barry Trotz, if he doesn't win, he's going to get fired. And I don't blame the Capitals for doing that because every year it's President's Trophies, knocked out of the first, knocked out of the second, or one of those things. So Washington is a must-win. Washington Capitals this season in the playoffs is they're on must-win because they have to win. They have the Toronto Maple Leafs, of course. Toronto got in on Saturday, of course, with that big win against Pittsburgh. Of course, it's the first time in 4 years the Toronto Maple Leafs have made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, 4 years, long time coming. When you have Mike Babcock as a coach and what he did for the Detroit Red Wings, it's finally, they definitely deserve to be here. I mean, they got such an array of young talent like Austin Matthews, James Van Riemsdyk, Tyler Bozak, Mitchell Marner, and of course Frederik Andersen, who was hurt in that game against Pittsburgh, but they do have Curtis McKinney as a backup, so that's not a bad 1-2 punch. Well, the thing was with Austin Matthews. I mean, 2016 first-round pick for the Toronto Maple Leafs, over 40 goals this year. For that ton of talent, a 40 goal season. Toronto, don't let him go. Don't let him go. Do not ever think of letting him go because he's going to be a talent there. Just like with Sid in Pittsburgh, Ovechkin in Washington, Connor McDavid in Edmonton. So definitely a very young, up-and-coming team. Of course, when you have Mike Babcock, you're going to win. So, but coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to take the Washington Capitals to win because if they can get through here, this is maybe the step to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm taking the Washington Capitals to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now the final matchup in the Eastern Conference first round. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins are the reigning Stanley Cup champions, looking to repeat as Stanley Cup champion. Of course, they did lose a big-time player on their team. They lost Chris Letang, their defenseman, for the year, so he's hurt. But, I mean, it's a huge blow for them. huge blow for them because he was almost unlikely. He was the kind of the hero of the Stanley Cup Finals last year against my Sharks. But they have talent around. One player is not going to change the destiny of the Penguins. I mean, when you have players like Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel, Patrick Hornquist, and of course Matt Murray, their goalie, and Marc-Andre Fleury. So it's a 1-2 punch at the goaltender position. They are, again, also another legit threat because they can also repeat. But the Letang injury may hurt them a little bit, but not in this matchup. Then you have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, the up-and-coming team. Very, very good young team. I mean, with players like Alexander Weinberg, Brandon Dubinsky, Brandon Shad, Cam Atkinson, and of course their goalie Sergei Bobrovsky. You can go far with that. A very young, very good team that deserve to be here. Different team other than our usual playoff teams. Very different team, which I like in this matchup. But coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins to win, so we're going to have it's going to be Ovechkin versus Crosby in the second round, and that's always interesting to me. So I'm taking the Pittsburgh Penguins to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets. And now my Western Conference predictions, my Western Conference side. Starting with the first, Chicago Blackhawks versus the Nashville Predators. Now, of course, Chicago Blackhawks usually are always here. They're always here in the playoffs for sure. Very talented team. I mean, don't see any big-time injuries there. I mean, when you got players like Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith, Marian Hossa, Brett Seabrook, and, of course, Corey Crawford, and, of course, Scott Darling, their backup. Very good backup. Chicago's always going to be a threat in the West. And of course, they're a threat now. I mean, they're still doing what they usually do. And, of course, coming from me in the West, there's like 3 teams that can actually get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and Chicago's one of them for sure. And then you have the Nashville Predators, of course. Very good team, like no doubt. I've watched a lot of Nashville Predators and Sharks games. Nashville always gives you a fight. Like players with Philip Forsberg, Roman Yoshi, PK Subban, the big deal that they got out of Montreal, James Neal, and of course maybe their best goalie, Pekka Rinne. Talent. Very good up-and-coming team in this Western Conference place. And I wouldn't even be surprised Nashville gives Chicago a fight, for sure. But coming from me, I am going to take the Chicago Blackhawks to win and move on to the second round. Now the next matchup. Of course, it's the Minnesota Wild versus the St. Louis Blues. It's the second time in 3 years they have face each other in the playoffs. So they're going to know each other. Like, it's a perfect game for 2 teams that have played each other multiple times in the playoffs. Of course, I'm going to start with Minnesota. Minnesota's a very good team. You got Mikko Koivu, you got Eric Stahl, you got Jason Pominville, you got Nito Niederreiter, and you got the goalie Devin Dubnyk. Very good Minnesota Wild team. I mean, very fan base, fantastic for sure. Then you have the St. Louis Blues, of course. They won tonight, finished up the regular season, when you have players like Vladimir Tarasenko, you got Alex Pietrangelo, you got Alexander Steen, Paul Stastny, and Jake Allen as their goaltender. You cannot go wrong with that. And the St. Louis has always been a threat in the playoffs. I mean, take it from me as a Sharks fan. We had to play them to get into the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and they were not easy. There's no team in this Western Conference or Eastern Conference that is an easy sweep, no doubt. But coming from me in this matchup, I am going to take the St. Louis Blues to beat the Minnesota Wild because I think St. Louis and Chicago would be a great matchup in the second round. So I'm taking St. Louis to beat Minnesota. And now the last four games of this Western Conference first round. Of course, the Pacific Division champions, the Anaheim Ducks, playing against, of course, the Calgary Flames. Now, of course, the Anaheim Ducks just won in overtime to clinch the Pacific over the Los Angeles Kings. Thank you. And no, there's no Kings this year, so yes. No Kings, no Burger Queens. Get the hell out of here. Of course, the Anaheim Ducks are the Pacific Division champions. They play against Calgary Flames. The biggest loss for them, just like with the Penguins, is the loss of Cam Fowler. Their defenseman, very talented player for the Anaheim Ducks. He's out for the postseason, so that's a huge blow for the Ducks. But they have talent around them. They have Patrick Eaves, Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Ryan Kessler, Anton Vermette, and of course their goaltenders John Gibson and Jonathan Bernier. Just a talented Pacific Division team. I mean, I can, as a Sharks fan, I can hate them, but they are a good team, and of course they're the first West Coast team to win a Stanley Cup. Second be the Kings. But Anaheim is a very good team. Then you have the Calgary Flames. Of course, very up-and-coming team. Another up-and-coming team that definitely deserves to be here. Another new team that we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen Calgary in a long time in the playoffs. But when you got players like Johnny Gaudreau, Dougie Hamilton, Sean Monahan, Matthew Tkachuk, and of course Brian Elliott, the former St. Louis Blues goaltender, you got talent. And it's young talent, which young talent can usually beat veteran talent sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. But Calgary is it's going to be a fantastic matchup. This is a fantastic matchup coming from me. But coming from me, I'm going to take the Anaheim Ducks to beat the Calgary Flames, but it won't be a sweep. I wouldn't be surprised 5 or 6 games it'll take to beat that Calgary Flames. So I'm taking Anaheim to beat Calgary. Now the next matchup, of course, it's the Edmonton Oilers against this team right here, baby, the San Jose Sharks. Now, of course, Edmonton was, I would think they were watching the Ducks game, so they couldn't win the Pacific, but can't go wrong with playing against us. But Edmonton has been the most interesting team in the NHL this season. I mean, nobody expected the Edmonton Oilers to even be in this situation. Almost everybody was thinking it was going to be the Kings or Winnipeg, but it was the Edmonton Oilers. And when you got, Edmonton, and I've heard this, is the most dangerous team to play. You got Jordan Eberle, Milan Lucic, Leon Draisaitl, Cam Talbot, their goalie, and of course, the face of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. And if you have not seen Connor McDavid play, he's ridiculous. I mean, another one of those number 1 draft picks from the NHL draft for Edmonton. Also trying to look forward to try to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Remember the last time they were there, of course, it was losing to Carolina in 7 games, and of course, trying to win their first Stanley Cup since 1990. So it's been a long time for the Edmonton Oilers, but they definitely deserve to be here because they're a very good team, no doubt about it. Then it comes to my San Jose Sharks. I mean, of course, we're the Western Conference champions. The Western Conference champions. We got farther than we ever did last year in our 25th anniversary year. We got to the Stanley Cup Finals. I know, again, we did not win, but it just got us a little bit more hungry. Of course, we're Sharks. We got to be hungry. We got to be bloodthirsty. But when you have players like the big Pavelski, Joe Pavelski, you got Brett Burns, should be in the Norris Trophy candidates. You got Joel Ward. You got Jumbo Jim Thornton, the veteran. You got Jonas Donskoy, the rookie. You got Patrick Marleau, another veteran. You got Chris Tierney, Mark-Edward Vlasic. You got Marty Jones, the goaltender, which has helped us big time this season. It's such a stack. The Sharks are such a stack. And again, as a Sharks fan, we've had our ups and downs this season for sure. I mean, I think March was not our greatest month because we had that February thing that usually happens with the San Jose Sharks, that we start losing in February, but we started losing more in March. We were losing games that we shouldn't be losing, but we lost. But it's been an up and down season, but I'm happy for them. We didn't win the Pacific, but we at least made it to the playoffs again. I mean, and the funny thing is, it's Todd McClellan against his former team. Todd McClellan coached the Sharks for a couple years, then they fired him, and he went to Edmonton, and look where we are. We're playing against our former coach. Of course, Peter DeBoer has been a fantastic coach. That is no doubt. Fantastic coach. Definitely we need to keep him. That's for sure. As Sharks fans, we got to keep Peter DeBoer because he is definitely helping. This one's going to be a fantastic matchup. This is, I know I'm not going to miss any of these games. I am nowhere near going to miss this game for sure because I don't miss playoff games when it comes to the Sharks. So coming from me in this matchup, I'm going to be biased. I have to because I'm a Sharks fan. I'm going to take the San Jose Sharks to beat the Edmonton Oilers to move on to play those West Coast motherfuckers, the Anaheim Ducks. So hopefully that will happen. So I'm taking the Sharks to beat the Edmonton Oilers. And those are my Stanley Cup first round predictions. Now I hope you guys did enjoy my predictions. Comment below, who do you have winning these games this week? And of course, represent your team. I'm representing my team in this video. Represent your teams in the comments. I'm always on to see your comments. I love, like, you guys did what you guys did. Like, show off your team when it comes to, like, what you guys did for my football predictions. Comments are always welcome on my channel. That is for sure. And of course, represent your team. I'm not gonna hate. Hey, this is a whole community we're in. So represent your teams in the comments for sure below. And of course, you can never forget to that like button, comment and share it with your friends, because we're gonna make this whole thing go around. I mean, don't ever forget to like, comment, and share on this video, on my videos. And of course, you can never forget to that subscribe button, become part of this bigger and cooler Dangerous Alliance. And I will see you on Wednesday for my NBA first round predictions. Peace.